What do I know about a guy that wants to do drugs and prostitutes? I know nothing about it. I've never done a drug in my life.
So that's not your world. You're not one that getting married early probably helped you out from not getting in too much trouble.
Yeah, I mean, I guess, one of the things that helped me is I had no vices, none. I like to gamble, but I like to casino gamble, and I never gambled over my head, plus I had the money. I never sports gambled, never did drugs, didn't, do the women thing, so it just wasn't in my, universe, which kept me clean.
Makes sense. Okay, so what happens next? So this
now
doesn't
I go
work
out on my own.
Okay.
So now it's 1989.
Okay.
And I open up one of the first franchise operations of a brokerage firm. So with that being said, it's like opening up a Subway. I didn't own the broker-dealer, but I owned the franchise.
You're 22 or 23?
22.
22 years old. You open up your own place.
That is called Financial Equity Resources. I hooked up with an investment banker in Philadelphia by the name of Howard Appel, who was absolutely brilliant. And this was my foray into investment banking. This is how I learned to do investment banking. Like today, they call them SPACs.
Yep.
Special Purpose Acquisition Corporations. Back then, it was blind pools. So we can raise money off a strong management team and then go look for the acquisition. And then ultimately, that became the reverse merger play, and we were the kings of it.
But the blind pool, did it have as bad of a reputation as SPACs do today?
No,
or no,
it was too early to have any bad news. No social media.
Nobody knew anything
nothing.
about it.
The first one we did is, you may know the guy, a fellow by the name of Wayne Allen Root.
No.
Okay, he was like an early sports prognosticator, but brilliant guy. He's got, he's got his blogs and his YouTube thing going. He's pretty famous now. But at the time, it was sports prognostication. And that was the first blind pool we did.
Got it. So 22 years old, you start your own place, you start doing blind pools, you get the management team first, you get the money, and then you go find a business on what you guys want to do. What happens
And we're doing
next?
a lot of reverse mergers, but we're doing quality deals.
Okay.
And I think that's what kept me under the
How
watch.
big were the deals? How big were the deals you're doing?
No, they were small deals. The way it would normally work, if you want me to give you a little lesson, or for your viewers, just understand what a reverse merger is, the publicly traded company is there first. And what that publicly traded company is a company that's been stripped down. It might have filed Chapter 11. It might just be a depressed stock that's now trading at pennies a share. So what we would do is we would, let's say, seek a company looking for financing. So you come to me and you say, Sal, I need $10 million in cash. We would tell you, well, we're not just going to give you $10 million without having an already inherent exit strategy. Can we explain to you how to go public, or that we could take you public? Sure. Once you're buying in on that, we'll use our own cash, maybe give you $1 million in cash just to hold you over, and then we'll use that money or other money, additional capital, to buy that publicly traded company because it's trading at 0.001 cents a share, and there's 50 million shares out there, which costs us nothing. So once we've bought and seized control of that publicly traded company, we're now taking that first and merging the operating entity into it, taking the company public, hence the words reverse merger. The public entity is there first. Now, we have as much as 20, 30, 40% of that stock. The CEO and his management team has whatever, 20, 30, 40%. You have 10, 15, 20% of the already existing shareholders, and you create that merger. Now the investment banking work comes in. If the stock's trading at a penny, you may want to do a reverse split, make it trade at $1. If it's trading at $1, make it trade at 10.
Sure.
But now we have paper. All of that is legal. The illegality part is as the public is buying, we're selling. And in order to do that, we have to, let's say, promote that stock, which is still okay, but it's the additional compensation given to a licensed stockbroker in the form of a cash payment under the table, where he no longer has his investors' best interest at heart, but lining his own pockets. And that's the illegal part.
Who else was doing that at the time?
Everybody.
Okay, so even the bigger guys were doing it.
Well, I don't know about the bigger guys, but there's always been additional compensation. I'll give you an example. And this is the way Lehman qualified it. There used to be soft dollar deals. So the way Lehman used to work is when they used to get a syndication, and a syndication is for, let's say, a company going public. They're doing a hot IPO, and everybody knows it's going to be a hot IPO. So ultimately what they would do is they would get a syndication or a set amount based on their production. So if Patrick was one of the best brokers, he's going to get 100,000 shares of this IPO. Now, there are traders out there that covet that need your IPO. Now, they can't compensate you, so what they do is they give you an American Express card, and they say, enjoy yourself. Take your wife on vacation. Go to the bars. Go to the strip joints. Whatever it is, we got it. And there is the soft dollar deal, it's called.
Got it.
So that form, or let's say the practice, has been around forever. It's got different names and maybe a different methodology, but the practice itself has been around forever.
They're not doing it today anymore, though, right?
Well, how did I know?
Yeah, I mean,
I never talk about things I don't know.
Yeah, FINRA's. Did they have the gift limitation back in the days to clients, or no? Did they have a $100 deal? Or
yes,
no?
they did.
NIST?
Absolutely.
So they
I
did.
would have forgot that existed if you didn't mention that.
Yeah. But by the way, we were talking about yesterday with a guy who's a doctor talking about opioids, how these doctors are making all this money because these big pharma companies are giving, whining and dining these doctors. I said, if FINRA gave us a $100 limit for a client, maybe the pharmaceutical industry needs to have a gift limit that they're giving their doctors. But anyways, that's a complete different conversation.
Very difficult to go after big pharma.
It is tough nowadays. That's why, they're doing what they're doing. Anyways, going back to this. So you're 22, 23. You're running your shop. You're doing these blind pulls.
And it's a very small shop. I got 4 or 5 guys.
Okay, I got you. So walk me through what happens next. You're doing these deals.
Now, this is where the plot thickens for me. So now I'm making some money, decent money,
more
than
FD?
Yeah, on certain occasions I am, but it's mostly with the undisclosed additional commissions.
100 a month?
Yeah, and some months even more.
Okay.
So it depends.
So you're making $1 million a year?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. So now at this point, somebody approaches me and wants me to finance their finance company. It's like an advance fee loan business. So I look at it, I do my due diligence, it's 100% legitimate, I agree to bankroll them. When I do, I throw my dad in there to watch my investment. He's retired at this point, so he's working there, and I throw my sister in there to answer the phones. So I have enough coverage in there where at least I take solace that they know what they're doing. So ultimately, this becomes a criminal operation. In other words, overzealous sales reps using their fake names, charging advance fees up front. So I'm not a participant in it. I don't contribute to it. But at the end of the day, I'm as guilty as they are. The money's going to me.
Sure.
So I'm a participant in this. So with that, I think we received something like 900 inquiries at the Better Business Bureau in 1990. Okay, so that encourages and precipitates a Postal Service investigation into the firm. I give an interview to the local paper. They knew it was coming. I explained to them nothing is more valuable to me than the integrity of my firm, my integrity. What they're accusing us of is wrong, so on and so forth. Ultimately, I get indicted, my dad gets indicted, my sister gets indicted. Very clever on their part. Because my sister, although she's just answering the phone, is now a party to a conspiracy, which means if I go to trial, I'll beat this in 3 seconds, but am I going to risk her? And now I have a problem. So I ultimately have to plead guilty. That guilty plea is going to give me a mandatory jail sentence, 1, and number 2, it's going to ban me from ever working on Wall Street again. So I agree. I plead guilty sometime in 92. And in 1993, I started a 3-year sentence in Morgantown, West Virginia.
This is the 30 months that you got?
Correct.
Okay, got it.
So now when I get there, I'm in Morgantown, West Virginia. My father's there with me. And if I could be 100% honest, I'm having the time of my life. This was like almost an organized crime training camp for me, because all the gangsters are there. Everybody's talking about their war stories. They're talking about and there were some big guys there. There was the Jackalone family from Detroit, and my buddy Jackie is now the boss of the Detroit partnership. They're there. Guys from Pittsburgh, Youngstown, Ohio, Steubenville, Ohio. A couple of guys from New York. So, if you look at every crew, let's say the Colombians are 3 or 4 guys, Puerto Ricans are 3 or 4 guys, the Aryan Brotherhood are 3 or 4 guys. We were like 40 strong, having the time of our life. So this is supposed to discourage me when I arrive back home? I mean, if the fear is prison, you could take that element out of my life. And I'm the kid, I'm the baby. They all love me. I'm carrying things for them. I'm helping them. Everybody called me the kid. The kid. I was pretty popular. I was well liked, and we had a ball. So now I get released, and I say to myself, okay, what's my next move? So before my release, I'm doing about 6 months worth of research trying to figure out what my next gig is. And it looks like the hottest sector right now, due to the breakup of the baby bells, is long-distance phone service. It looked like you can make big money in commission selling
Long-distance phone service? Are you talking like Excel communication? You're
yeah,
talking about
like
phone
in other
cards?
words, because the baby bells broke up,
Yeah.
so the phone cards is a big business, and
Sure.
switching to long-distance service. You use AT&T, well, I'm working for this company representing them. We could save you 20, 30%, and I'm going to make a commission of up to 30% on your
Do you remember the
long-distance
company
bill.
names? Was it
Cherry Communications.
Okay, got it.
I remember it.
Quest was doing it too, right?
Quest was doing it.
too.
There were a few
Yeah.
firms.
Yeah, there was a few firms.
LCP, which became, no, I'm sorry, I forgot what it was, but that became a publicly traded New York Stock Exchange stock. It was a hot sector. So this is what I chose to participate in. So when I get home, I'm looking for somebody to stake me. And a buddy of mine who was the nephew of a gangster by the name of John Gammarano, he approaches me saying, look, my uncle will put this up because there's a pretty popular guy, a strong businessman, strong wise guy. Well, he's not a wise guy, but he's not a made guy, but he's a gangster. His name is Joe Watts. And Joe Watts is making a fortune in this. My uncle wants to put you two together. So I meet with John Gammarano, Joe Watts. I go over this whole business model of what I'm looking to do. Joe Watts is making a fortune with the phone cards. So Johnny Gammarano agrees to stake me. He does. We open up the office. I start doing well. Johnny had always assumed that one way or another, I would go back to Wall Street in one capacity or another. So now the most interesting part of this in the trajectory of my life is now when I return home less than 3 years later, everybody's a stockbroker. All of Bay Ridge, all of Bensonhurst, everybody's a broker. And everybody is making a fortune off this new invention called the World Wide Web.
This is 92, 93?
95
Okay,
now, 94, 95. So now it's the start or the advent of the internet. Guys are making a killing. So this is when all of these firms popped out of the woodwork and everybody was making a fortune. Now I'm still relegated to doing the long distance service. I got a nice business. I'm starting to ramp up, but the itch to get back to Wall Street was always there. So then my original partner, Howard Appel, the guy from Philadelphia, tells me about this one stock that he's working. It's called NAL Financial. And it's backed by even Wayne Huizenga here in Florida, who at the time was the chairman and the founder of Blockbuster Video. Very wealthy guy. So I think one of the reasons why I was able to stay under the radar for so long, Patrick, is because we always did quality deals. Like investors always had a shot. There was no customer complaints. And if nobody's complaining, we're not on the radar. So with that said, we did this NAL Financial deal, and this was a hot deal. So my job was to find stockbrokers to promote it, and then additionally, I can compensate them under the table in cash. And we got off again. So now it's May of 1995. I have a wedding to pay for. That's when my wife and I were married. I needed money. I needed to jump back into this universe. And now I'm noticing all this mob influence on Wall Street. You had so many wise guys involved who had a piece of this, who had a piece of this, who had a piece of this.
Any big names or no?
Yeah, you had... it's probably better for me if I don't get that specific, if you don't mind.
Well, were they bosses involved, under bosses involved, like
the
high
bosses
ranking?
are always involved.
Sure.
Yeah, you had a lot of skippers, a lot of capos that were involved in this. The money was too good not to. And let me just say something: the mob has always been on Wall Street. It may be different capacity. I don't care if they find a box of 0 coupon bonds, but the point is the mob has always had an influence on Wall Street.
So if you like this little short clip from an interview I did, click over here to watch the entire interview. And please don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Take care, everybody. Bye-bye.